back everyone, Jazzman here for another FPL video. This week's video is a big one. We will be touching on Gameweek 20 transfers. Now I'm going to be doing something slightly different this week. I'm going to be touching on some players to sell, some players you should definitely be bringing in, and a couple of players you could gamble on. So if you're looking for some points to climb up those mini leagues, you're looking to be back in contention in those top two, you're trying to find some differentials that set you apart from the rest of the crowd, this video is for you. Now, strap in, watch it, leave me a like, a comment, and even a subscribe, and let me know what you want to see in the next video. Let's get right to it. Now, we are going to be starting with the sell players. Now, straight out of the gates, I'm going to start with a controversial one. Now, a lot of you guys are watching other FPL videos out there on the YouTube, and they're going to tell you otherwise. But I'm going to tell you, sell Mohamed Salah. He is doing nothing. If you watch any of the Liverpool games, we are trash. And I'm the biggest Liverpool fan there is. I watched every game this season, watched every game last season, and I can tell you when things are clicking and when things are not clicking. And right now, they are not clicking. You know, we are having a bad time. So, this week there's going to be 3 big sales, and he is number 1 on that list. If you are looking to make a big change, you're sick of those poor performances, you're sick of captaining him and get nothing in return, this is the week to get rid of him. Send him out of your club. Get in some differential players. My advice, bring in one of these must-buy players and then bring in a gamble or two. These guys are going to make you fly up the leagues, you know. My thing is, proper preparation prevents poor performance. Boys, this is what you need to do. Get rid of Mohamed Salah. Prepare for the weeks to come. Don't sit there waiting for Mohamed Salah to score you points. He is owned by a shitload of people, and they are going to be not getting any points. So get him out of your team while you can. If the quicker you can get him out, he hasn't scored any goals in 4 game weeks. His points per game week for the last 4 weeks at 2.25. And this is a guy you want in your team, captaining him, and he's worth $12.5 million. You don't want that. Get him out. Send him away. I know he's been amazing for the last 3 years. He's been the most dependable guy you can have in your team. You can almost guarantee I'm going to send him out of my team and then he's going to score a buttload of goals. It's probably going to happen. But based on the previous performances, 4 game weeks, underperforming, no goals, Liverpool have literally had 87 shots and 0 goals. 87 and 0. If that's telling you that Mohamed Salah is worth keeping in the team, I don't know what to say. But get him out. My advice, get him right out of that team. And let's move on to the next sale. So the next player I'm going to tell you to move out of your team is unfortunately a regrettable sale, and that's Kevin De Bruyne. You know, this guy was starting to really put some form together. Man City were really starting to look amazing, and then fuck me, he goes down injured. 4 to 6 weeks they're saying that he's going to be out for it. In FPL weeks, that's 8 or 9 game weeks. That is atrocious. It's no good. You cannot hold him in your team. If you've got Kevin De Bruyne, you need to get Kevin De Bruyne out. Now, my advice is if you've got Salah and De Bruyne, you need to get both of them out. Get him out of your team. He was a big chunk of change, so between him and Salah, that's 25% of your FPL budget in 2 players. Get him out. Get him gone. He was starting to look amazing. His stats were great. Goal and 3 assists in 4 game weeks. Amazing. What more do you want? Fixtures coming up were looking sick, except for the Liverpool game, obviously. But 3 games you couldn't have asked a bit more for. And unfortunately, God strikes him down again. Another injury, another setback for KDB. So you're sort of stuck in a corner here. Get rid of him. Otherwise, you're going to have a big chunk of change sitting on your bench gathering 0 points. So prepare for the future. There's going to be a bunch of guys coming up that I recommend you must put in your team, and then there's a few that if you find yourself sitting in the bottom to mid-league, or even at the top, you're trying to make that gap between number 1 and 2, you're 3rd or 4th, and you want to jump those guys, and you want a bit of a punty kind of guy, there's a couple of guys coming up, so keep watching, get ahead to those guys there, but definitely my advice straight away, Salah, De Bruyne out, get them both gone. The next guy on the list of sales is another regrettable one, and that's Jamie Vardy. Leicester City were looking amazing. Their fixtures coming up good, a lot of goals in there. I know Vardy has been a little bit flaky lately, not having a great time, but Leicester are one of the most informed teams in the league. So there's not a lot of time that you find Jamie Vardy goes 4 games without scoring, alright? So They were looking good. He was still in the team, playing 90 minutes, seemed fine. Everybody was banging in goals around him. Everything was great. He was eventually going to score goals. Unfortunately, he's gone down injured. Well, he's gone and had an operation anyway, and he's going to be out for at least 4 game weeks. So if you find yourself as one of those captains with Vardy, KDB, and Salah on your bench, get them out of here. Fuck them off out of your team. You don't want these guys. They're going to be sucking in so much money. That's what, nearly 30 mil sitting on your bench doing fuck all. Doing fuck all. You take the -4, take the -8, whatever it takes. Get all 3 of them out of your team. If you're sitting on 2 of them, Vardy and KDB, or Salah and KDB, or whatever the combination is, get them out of your team. Fuck them out of here. Get that money. Get that money. Put it in your team and spend it on your team. Invest in the future, guys. Look at the guys coming up. Look at the must buys. Look at the gambles. Get those guys in your team. If you find yourself sitting bottom to mid, take some gambles. If you find yourself sitting mid to top and you want to close the gap on the top guys, take the must-haves. Maybe take one of the gambles. Something like that. If you're like me and you find your forward line suffering because nobody seems to be a fucking good striker this season, then this is going to help you. There's going to be a couple of guys coming up that I recommend you put in your team. But for now, as a sale, KDB, Salah, Vardy, out of here. Get them out of your team. Alright? Alright, so now we move on to the must buys. Now, a key must buys. Now, with Vardy out of the team, Leicester have a very good run coming up. Everton, Leeds, Fulham, Wolves. 4 very, very good teams to play against. There's a lot of goals in there. There's going to be goals against Everton. There's definitely going to be goals against Leeds. There's definitely going to be goals against Fulham. And the Wolves game, they haven't defended well all season, so there's definitely going to be goals there. But with no Vardy up front, who's going to score? Where's the goals coming from? James fucking Maddison. That's where the goals are coming from. This guy is going to be banging all those points in. He's already killing it. 7.75 points per game week for the last 4 game weeks. Phenomenal. 3 goals, 1 assist. Him and Yuri Tielemans and Harvey Barnes have been absolutely on fire. These 3 guys, you have nothing to worry about. I'm telling you. So if it's me and I'm moving Vardy out, the first person I'm moving back in, James Maddison, alright? Leicester's fixtures are amazing. Maddison's in form. He's looking like the guy that's going to take Leicester and survive them through this period. Rodgers isn't stupid. He knew that Vardy had this problem. He knew he needed the operation. So what has he done? He's gone and got him the operation whilst they're in amazing form with a bunch of fixtures that are good. So get James Maddison. If you need a midfielder to replace KDB and Salah, Maddison. I swear to God, he is the guy that will replace those 2 in your team and return your points. If you're taking that -4, you're taking that -8. He might not return 8 points or 10 points straight away in 1 game week, but in 3 or 4, he's going to outscore those guys hands down because they're not even going to be playing. Other than Salah, he's going to be playing, but I still don't rate Salah. He's not going to do anything for the next 2 or 3 game weeks. I'm telling you now, Liverpool are in some serious trouble. So sell those guys, get rid of those 3. First guy on your list to bring in, James Maddison. Now, if you're replacing Vardy and bringing out that guy from the top line, and as I said, strikers have been a problem all this year. Other than Dominic Calvert-Lewin, Harry Kane, Jamie Vardy, that's it. I would say they're the 3 guys who have been of any consistency this year at all. You know, you've got guys like Watkins, Bamford, now Antonio, Ings and Che Adams. There's a few guys that have performed randomly and sporadically, but with Dominic Calvert-Lewin being out injured, Vardy being out injured, Kane having a bit of a blank spell recently, Che Adams and Ings always out injured, you know, Watkins doing what Watkins does and missing too many fucking chances, and Antonio being out injured, there's not been any consistency out front. All the points have kind of been coming out of that midfield. So this is the week when you're moving out Jamie Vardy, you're bringing in Harry Kane. I know his fixtures aren't amazing. They've got Liverpool this week, but Liverpool at the moment are like a wounded sheep. So get him in, because he is going to fucking take those points. I'm telling you right now. I know they will score a shitload of goals in most of the games. It's usually 1 or 2 at best. But who is the guy that scores those 1 or those 2? Harry fucking Kane. Him and Son are deadly. And if you haven't already got Son in your team, he's also a guy that you should be having in your team. But the guy that you must be looking to bring in as your striker is Harry Kane. Alright? 3 goals, 1 assist, last 4 game weeks, 7.75 points per game. Fuck me, there's nobody else that you want in your striker. He's going to take your team and fly him to the moon. So get him in your team, alright? Now, the next guy I want to chat about is an underrated player. He's played virtually every game for Manchester City. And lately, it's been better than fucking Kevin De Bruyne. This guy has been phenomenal for them. That's Ilkay Gundogan. 7.5 points per game in the last 4 game weeks from a guy that's $5.5 million. What more do you want? What more do you want, man? This guy, you must have in your team. He's a James Justin at the moment. You know, a guy that you just have to have in your team. He's a Souček guy that's just cheap and you got to have in your team. Ilkay Gundogan. KDB being out, he's now on penalties. Obviously from before, he was scoring penalties last week, but he's now definitely on the pens. You know, and he scored, what was it, 3 goals and got 3 clean sheets in the last 4 games for a guy that's more or less the defensive midfielder. Fuck me, I don't know what more you want, boys. Get on him. For 5.5 mil, if you're moving Salah and KDB out of your team and you've got 2 blank spots, fill it with him. One of these spots, because they have the best fucking fixtures coming up. West Brom, Sheffield, Burnley, Liverpool. What more do you want? Guy that's costing you 5.5 mil for a dude that's costing you like 11. Perfect spot. Got a shitload of money in the bank. Upgrade your team. Be smart. Prepare for the future. And ride that fucking points to the promised land. Now the final must-buy player is an obvious one. John fucking Stones. Now if you haven't already, you definitely should double up, if not triple up, on Man City players. John Stones, last week, phenomenal. Banging in 2 goals. His first ever 2 goals, I think it was in the Prem. And he gets him in fucking 1 game. He was on fire, having a great time, and that momentum's gonna carry through. Man City in the last like 10 weeks have been the best defensive side in the league. And John Stones and Ruben Dias, those 2 guys have made the best centre-back pairing. And they're fucking raking up points, cleaning up, gathering points like motherfuckers. And Dias is an amazing choice. If you haven't got him in your team already, get him in. But for $5.1 million, John Stones is a bargain. If you can't get Dias in for budget restriction reasons, which I don't understand why you would have them, because you've got to be selling KDB and Salah and Vardy, so you should have fucking money coming out of your ears. So John Stones should be the first defender you'll be looking to bring in if you have a spot there, alright? So if you've got a red guy, or you've got an injury, or you've got a guy that's underperforming in your team, get him out, think ahead. Proper preparation prevents poor performance. You heard it here. Do the right thing. Get him in. Get John Stones in your team. He is going to clean up some more points. You're going to have 3 clean sheets coming up. I'm telling you right now. 3 at the minimum. That's 6 to 8 points for 3 games. What more do you want from a 5.1 million defender? Huh? You probably had Trent and Robertson in your team at the beginning of the season, expecting them to bang in what? 10, 11, 12 points? Waste of money. Waste of time. John Stones, 5.1 mil. Cheap. Get him in. Now we're going to move on to the guys that I call the gambles. So if you find yourself sitting down the bottom or middle of your league and you need to make some big changes, these are the guys that I'd be looking to bring in. The other guys are almost guaranteed bank money, but you can almost put your money on it. A lot of those guys are going to be heavily owned these coming weeks because obvious reasons are obvious. They've scored a bunch of points in the last 4 weeks. People are going to go, points, and bring them in. Simple. These guys are guys that are either performing, are set to perform, or going to walk into teams soon because they've been performing so well when they've been called upon that they're going to have to be put in the team by the manager, and that's going to guarantee some points. Now, the first guy I'm starting with is Ollie Watkins. Now, this guy frustrates the living shit out of me. If it wasn't for him being a fucking Timo Werner up front and missing clear and obvious chances, Jack fucking Grealish would be by and far the furthest points gatherer this season. But because he seems to have the ability to fucking miss sitters, he's killed that poor bloke. And he's just, you know, Jack's still fucking performing amazingly, but he could have been so much more. But I've got the feeling that Ollie and Jack, they've had that break, they've had about 2 weeks off, had a bit of a rest, and Ollie's going to come back and bang in some points. So watch him. My advice tonight, they play Newcastle. Watch the game. See how Watkins plays. If he's in positions that are like deadly and he's in front of goals and you're expecting a goal here and Jack's setting him up and finding him on a plate, then bring this motherfucker into your team. And by no means is he underperforming. Last 4 game weeks, he's got 3 assists. So for a guy that's pretty fucking cheap at 6.1 mil, like, you know, he's a good choice anyway. And a lot of people are going to be bringing him in. He's already owned by like 10% of the people. So bringing him in is not going to be that much of a gamble. But bringing him in is probably the least gambling gamble you're going to be doing. So watch the game. If he performs well and you can see the confidence in him, maybe he gets a goal or assist or something goes right or he's close or something like that, bring him in. Because Newcastle, Burnley, Southampton, West Ham, it's a very good run of fixtures right there, especially that Newcastle-Burnley run. Alright, so watch the game, get him on in. Now, there's a few strikers in this part because I find in my team and a lot of other teams, the striker position is the problem spot. Because, as I said before, unless at the moment you've got Harry Kane, you really don't have anyone you can bank on. Take that back. Mikel Antonio, West Ham, get him in your team. Fucking 6 mil or something. It's going to clean up. It's the only fucking striker they've got. Get him in. But if you're looking for a second or a third player that you're having a budget forward line, then I'm going to say these next two guys are very, very big punts. Now, Tammy Abraham is the guy I've been leaning on. Now, I took a punt on Timo thinking Timo was going to be banging in goals, and that fucker should have banged in goals. He was one-on-one, and they sprayed that shit into Rosette and basically killed whoever was in there. I know there's nobody in the crowds at the moment, but there should have been a bird there or something. He's fucking killed something. That should have been a goal, and that was enough to piss me off and fuck him out of my team. And who am I bringing in? I'm going to bring in Tammy Abraham. They've got Wolves, Burnley, Spurs, and Sheffield. That's 4 games. 4 games with goals in it. Spurs game, maybe not as many, but the other 3, Wolves can't defend. Burnley haven't been able to defend, and Sheffield can't defend. There should be some goals here. Chelsea have got to turn the boat around sometime. They've got to. And Tammy might not be the starting striker, but he's definitely coming on at some point. And I think Lampard's been having this issue of, do I play Tammy, Giroud, or Werner? And I think he's kind of settled on Werner outside, Tammy through the middle, or Giroud, depending on which player that he picks. You know, and then you Pulisic or Havertz or something out on the other side, or Callum Hudson-Odoi. So Tammy, though, is the guy that I think he's going to lean on a hell of a lot more than he's going to lean on Giroud. He's going to get some more minutes. He's played 90 minutes in the last 2. I know he hasn't done any goals or assists or anything like that, but if you're taking a gamble, as I said, it's a fucking gamble, and this is a big fucking gamble. 7.2 mil, you're banking on Chelsea. They've got a bunch of shit good fixtures coming up where they should be banging in some fucking goals. This is your punt. Do not go for Timo Werner. Do not. You will regret that. 9 mil, and he's gonna fucking frustrate the shit out of you like he did me. So Tammy's the guy. Put him in your team for a week. If it works out, brilliant. If it doesn't work out, put him in the shit list with Timo and move on and try to find another gamble. Now, as I said before, the next guy is another striker and another big fucking punt. But if you're a Man U supporter, you know this is coming. You can see it. Martial isn't doing what he should be doing up front, and that striker spot is up for grabs. And Manchester United want to make sure. They want to solidify that top spot. They want to gather as many points as they can while they're in form. And who better to do that than the 33-year-old God himself, Edson Cavani. God damn, that guy's a good-looking motherfucker and doesn't age. 7.8 mil. Guy's a freak. Every time he's come on for Manchester United, he's been amazing. You know, against a Liverpool game, he didn't do anything amazing, but in the last 4 game weeks, a goal and coming off the bench most of those times, that's not a bad return. Only owned by 3.3% of people, and he's gonna play. I'm telling you, he's gonna play. They've got Sheffield, Arsenal, Southampton, Everton. 4 toughish games take Sheffield out of that equation. Arsenal's in decent form. Southampton aren't easy. Everton aren't easy, but I see them all getting past them all. I see Manchester United getting snaky wins, and whether he comes on in the 80th minute and he scores that 1 or 2 goals they need to win, or whether he starts the 90 minutes and plays and then just absolutely dominates, I don't know. But one way or another, if you need yourself a striker and you're looking to bring in somebody that's going to make you set apart from the others, if you've got like a Firmino, or you've already got a Timo, or you know, you find yourself sitting on a Vardy because he's now fucking injured, this is the guy that you could bring in. Tammy Abraham, Timo, Edson Cavani, a couple of strikers that you can look to bring in to supplement people like Antonio and Bamford and those kind of guys. So Edson Cavani, another good gamble. find yourself in that position looking for a striker, roll the dice and give it a shot. Now, the last guy is probably the biggest fucking roll of a dice I could think of. This is when you're at that fucking craps table and you've got all your money you've won, you've pushed that shit out there and you're looking for that 7. Emil Smith-Rowe. He's your 7. This boy's got some fucking tough fixtures coming up. Southampton, Man U, Wolves, Villa. That's 4 games. 4 fucking tough games. But this boy has been phenomenal. Him and Saka have been amazing. Now, if you don't already have Saka in your team, he's a good guy to have in your team already. But I've touched on him many times before. But for $4.5 million, this guy is a fucking steal. If you need to bring in a guy that's cheap because you're trying to make some room for some big spenders in the midfield, you're getting in the Suns, the Canes, you know, the Fernandez and stuff like that. You want to get a guy that's going to play some minutes, double up. Saka, Smith-Rowe. 2 cheap players that will play. Souček, another one. Those are 3. But this guy, gamble and a half. Last 4 game weeks, 3 assists, 5.25 points per game. Fucking phenomenal. And if you've watched any of the Arsenal games, this boy has been amazing. If they don't lock him down to a massive fucking contract soon, people are going to come knocking, because from what I've seen, him, Tierney and Saka have been their best players, and these 3 guys have been making the best players in their teams of Lacazette's and Aubameyangs and those kind of blokes play to better standards than before. Aubameyang's starting to bang in some goals and looking like a threat again. Lacazette was on fire for a few weeks, but Smith-Rowe is the fucking person pulling all the strings. He's the guy. So if you want to make a big punt, something that nobody else is doing, 3.5% of people own this bloke. I know he has a bunch of tough fixtures, but as it's always good to cover as many games as possible, this bloke is a good fucking choice. Now, I hope you found this video helpful, interesting, and everything it needed to be for you. You know, there's a bunch of guys in there that are different. There's a bunch of guys that people aren't talking about. You know, if you watch all the YouTubers like I do that are currently talking about players that bring in, it's the same shit. They're saying the same 4 fucking guys over and over again. These guys are some different guys. These are the guys that will set you apart. These are the guys you should be looking to bring in. So I hope you liked the video. Please, if you did, leave a comment, leave a like. If I'm wrong on something, let me know. If I'm an idiot, let me know. You know, jump in there. I want to hear from you guys. I want to see more. So if you want to know something, or you want to see me do something, or come up with some other ideas, let me know in the comments below. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing the next video, and I hope you fucking prepare well and ride those points to the promised land.